you were 17 years of age when you first started using.
Yes, I started smoking marijuana.
Can you remember the first time you smoked it?
The very first time was in the hallway as we were coming from taking the pictures of going back into the banquet.
In the hallway of the school.
In the hallway of actually it was Martin's West.
Martin's West.
We snuck from the restroom and we were going down through the hallway and we started lighting up.
Lighting up
Yes.
marijuana in the hallway of... Let me call Martin. Let them know that they turned his restaurant into a crack house. My goodness.
But if I actually really think about it, my very, very first time, I probably was around 5 or 6 years old, and I had maybe some alcohol. So
really,
and alcohol is definitely a drug.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when I look back over my recovery history, I see that the using actually started at a very young age.
And how did you get alcohol at that age?
Well, my parents always had parties on Fridays and Saturdays, and all the children were ordered to go into one room and stay to ourselves, but we always had the bolder cousin of the four of us that actually went and snuck some beers and drinks out of the refrigerator and brought it back to the room. So we always end up drinking, like once they fell asleep or once they were passed out, we would drink the leftovers that was in the bottles, or my cousins would actually bring something to the room where we had to play.
What I like to do is not only talk about your life and your story, but when you say some things that really charge my spirit, I like to kind of move ahead a little bit to address some things from a historical standpoint of view, a present, and a future standpoint of view.
Okay.
There are some parents who are listening right now, Etha, and they're hearing you tell your story about how your parents were party folk,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you as you and your brothers and sisters you all started drinking at an early age by sneaking around and getting their drinks.
Absolutely. And it was most of the time where they were probably intoxicated.
Okay.
Or at the end of the party when they were passed out.
So if we have some parents who are listening right now and they want to prevent that from happening to their children,
yes.
What could you say to them?
I would suggest not having the children anywhere in the environment where the party is going to be held. Where the adult parties are held, the children should not be in the same area, not in the same household, not the same apartment. And just because the children are in a different room from where the party is being held is not going to prevent them from interacting, not with the adults, but with the adults are drinking, indulging in.
Yes. Somewhere I read or I heard that association breeds assimilation.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be smoking cigarettes just to smell like smoke. Or to get cancer.
Secondhand smoke is also #1 killer of cancer.
Yes. So children are very inquisitive.
Very. We were very curious. We waited until the right time, the right moment, and children are very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
They
like little detectives.
Exactly.
Watching and waiting for mommy and daddy to turn their backs.
Yes, exactly. When they probably was passed out or engaged with conversation with each other, weren't paying attention to us going to the restroom. Most of the time we were going to the restroom or going to get something to drink out of the refrigerator. They just didn't realize we were drinking the same thing they were drinking.
They were drinking. Now you mentioned beer, but your parents were they might have been drinking something else, something stronger.
I think it was like maybe Night Train or something like that. Maybe Night Train, and I think I remember something called grandfathering and.
Old granddad.
Old granddad, yes.
Right.
It was years ago. I don't remember the exact name. I just remember that.
Oh, I remember old granddad. Yes, indeed. We used to drink old granddad on the weekends when I was at Morgan. When I was in college. Excuse me, I didn't.
Tell them the age again.
Yeah. We started off drinking 86 proof, then we graduated to 100 proof because they said if you drank 100 proof, you didn't have to drink as much.
Right.
There's so much, I want to use the word dope fiend information out there. It's like people telling me, well, it looks like you're getting a habit there by
Okay.
smoking that cocaine. So if you snort, then you won't get a habit. You want
Right.
so much dope fiend information. You know why I call it dope fiend information, don't you?
Well, nowadays we're called addicts.
Addicts.
Back in our day, and I'm not sure what my day what they were called junkies. Not sure what they were called in your day, because your days
Yes.
are a little longer than
Yes.
my days are.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I'm talking about untruth,
Right.
because it doesn't make any difference whether or not you drink 86 proof or 100
Right.
proof.
Absolutely.
It all has the same effect.
Once an individual finds something that actually allows them to cope with some type of emotion or some type of feeling, and they get hooked on that feeling or emotion, it doesn't matter what drink or drug it is that they're taking, 9 times out of 10, that will be the thing that actually have them addicted. And once that no longer feeds that urge or that feeling, you actually move to the next level, and it always progresses.
The next level, yes, moving to the next level. And I was reading an article in a magazine today about spiritual things, talking about spiritual things.
Okay.
And I'll be transparent and say, well, it was an article that was written by Leroy Thompson, who is noted in the Christian arena as a very, very, very prosperous man. He's a minister. He's a multimillionaire. And the article was talking about, if you want to move to the next level in ministry,
Okay.
how his this was one of his ministers was challenging other ministers to come and be a part of this ministry, because it's on another level. And the same way that we can have different levels of drugs and alcohol is the same way we can have different levels in recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
Different levels of spirituality.
Exactly.
So here you are, a little kid, you and your brothers and sisters. How many sisters did you have?
I had one older sister, I had one older brother, and one younger brother.
Okay, so one older. Okay, so you're about in the middle.
I'm in the middle.
Mm-hmm. So, would I be correct to venture to say that your older brother or older sister were the ones who were the perpetrators? They were the ones that were sneaking around and saying, "Let's get this, get that."
Yes, it was my older sister actually, and most of the time, my mother's sisters and brought their children, and the younger kids, which were my cousins, were older than my sister. So it was my older cousins, my sister, and sometimes my older brother, and we all would end up drinking and end up in the room together. And back then, we all drink out the same bottle. We all smoked the same cigarette. So during those times,
as children, you all smoking cigarettes too.
Exactly.
So
as friends.
So there was a party inside the party. There was a party inside the party.
A party inside the party.
Lord have mercy.
Adult party and kids
little
party.
kids party. I wonder whether or not there were any adults who got so inebriated that they stumbled in through the little kids party. You know what I mean? And said, "Hello, kids. Well, looky here."
Yeah, well, it's for some reason, as children, you think that you can hide it when an adult walk into the room, not realizing the room is full of smoke.
Yes.
But you try to hide the cigarettes even though the room is full of smoke.
Yes. And children are imitators.
Exactly.
They're imitators of their of older individuals.
Yes.
So if
Parents,
the parent,
aunts, uncles,
the parent, if whatever the parent is doing, the children are going to do.
most likely.
This very same article that I was talking about, Leroy Thompson was talking about parenting, and he was saying that if you want your children to be godly, then what you have to do as parents is you have to imitate godliness. You have to live in a righteous way. And so if you are smoking blunts and you're drinking old granddad and drinking beer around your children, that's exactly what kind of cigarettes did your mom and dad smoke?
Winston's.
Mm-hmm.
Winston's and Camels back in that day.
Yeah, isn't that something? And so here you all were, really what they were doing was they were making little addicts and little alcoholics out of you all and didn't even know it.
Did not have no clue.
I really believe that we're giving a message to the parents right now.
Yes. I believe that as adults and parents, we oftentimes don't realize the children are actually involving themselves in parts of the lives of adults unintentionally. When you actually have a gathering or a party and a child is present and a child sometimes involve themselves, you're actually partying with your child.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, based upon the drug that you're using, adults, a child could actually die
Absolutely.
from being in the presence of adults who are doing drugs or alcohol and the child imitating them.
A child's immune system is nowhere near the same strength as an adult. And if a child intake the same amount as an adult, it can be lethal.
Yes. So here we are. You were in elementary school, really, when you first started drinking.
Absolutely.
You progressed to smoking marijuana at Martin's West at your bedroom, right there in the hallway. I'm telling you, I used to say drugs make you stupid.
Yes.
You know, I'm not saying that you're stupid, but I mean drugs. I mean some of the things that can happen as a direct result.
You don't think straight.
Right.
You don't have the same. You don't have the same mind. You don't have the same. You're not able to react and respond as quickly as if you had a fresh mind. Once
Yes.
you intake the drug, it affects your mental state as well.
So how did your because we're talking about your life
Right.
in recovery right now. You're in recovery, and how much clean time do you have right now?
I have 10 months clean right now.
But you've been around for a little while. Is that
I've
right?
been around for a while. The first time I was around, I had 10 years. I stayed clean for 10 years, but I didn't do the complete recovery process. And I think that's part of the reason why I end up relapsing.
Let's talk about you coming around. What happened that you came around in the beginning? I mean, you progressed. I mean, anybody smoking marijuana in Martin's West, down the hallway, coming down the hall, I can see that. Yeah, just walking. Yeah, we graduating. Yeah,
it definitely progressed.
That means somebody had a problem at an early age. I mean, even though you might not have looked like it.
Didn't understand it, didn't
Right.
know it at the time.
Okay, and you with your girlfriends.
Friends, yes.
All right. Question: your mom and dad had 4 siblings.
Yes.
Did they end up being alcoholics or addicts? Any of them?
My older sister did. My older brother as well. But my younger brother didn't indulge in drugs the way that the 3 older kids were. And I think it's because there's a difference in the age. My older brother and my older sister and I are 2 years apart. My younger brother is like 7 years apart. So
Okay.
there was a difference in the age, and he didn't actually involve himself with us the way that we were when we were kids.
Also, I think it's important to know from a genetic standpoint of view that it is possible for parents to have 4 or 5 children.
Yes.
One child be an addict, suffer from the disease of addiction,
Right.
and the other children not.
Right.
Or maybe if they have 5 children, 4 of them be addicts and one not.
I've seen families that way.
It's a family disease. The
Yes.
same way high blood pressure, diabetes,
Yes.
obesity.
It can sometimes be hereditary.
Yes. Even mental disorders.
Yes.
And so I'm talking about this because we want to give a message of hope. Our mission in life, my mission as far as our ministry, total ministry is concerned, whether or not we're in St. Petersburg, Florida, whether or not we're sitting here in the studio in WCL here in Baltimore, or whether or not I'm in church, or whether or not I'm on the street. My whole mission is to give people some hope.
Right.
And I mean that sincerely because I can remember the time when I didn't have hope as far as drugs were concerned. When I wanted to die as a direct result of me using a drink or drug because I didn't know how to get out of this.
I think that was actually the beginning stages of my recovery. I lost all hope. I felt emotionally beat down. I was mentally unstable. And at the time, I decided to call the pastor of the church I was attending and I had grew up in. And I went to the church, and I'm talking about how God actually arranged things for you. You have no clue. I went to the church. I spoke to the pastor the day before I went to the church. He and I decided to meet at 5 o'clock. I went down there to meet him at 5 o'clock, but I ran into a girlfriend of mine that I used with.
At the church.
At the church. She was there. She was attending a Narcotics Anonymous meeting in the back of the church, and I was supposed to be attending a meeting with the pastor in the church. But it just so happened I end up in the Narcotics Anonymous meeting because the pastor was in New York.
Okay.
And that started my recovery process. I became a member of Narcotics Anonymous. The same young lady I ran into began to sponsor me. I started doing step work. I started feeling better. And as many individuals do, as soon as I started feeling better, started looking better, started doing better, I didn't think I needed any anymore.
Okay.
And I disconnected myself from the fellowship. And it took 3 years after disconnecting myself from the fellowship, because I stayed in the fellowship for 7 years. 3 years, I disconnected myself from the fellowship, and then I ended up using.
What year was
I ended up
What
using.
year was that when you first came around?
I came around in 92.
92?
92.
Mm-hmm.
In 2002. Between 2002 and 2003 is when I ended up. I started drinking first.
What did you start drinking?
I started drinking Alizé and Hennessy.
Alizé.
Alizé and Hennessy.
Is that a beer, a wine?
It's like it's a cooler. It's like a wine cooler, but I mixed it with the Alizé. And at 10 years, I found myself back in a position and feeling the way I felt when I first was introduced to Narcotics Anonymous. And it is amazing to me now that once I found something that helped me, mold me, put me back together, fixed me, healed me, and I turned right around and detached myself from the very thing that got me help.
The Alizé, what's the name of it?
Alizé.
Alizé. Alizé, was it in a bottle? Was it in a glass?
It was in a bottle. It was real cute, pretty, and I loved the passion fruit.
Okay. Now, where were you? Were you in a bar?
I was in a bar because at that time I kind of like just stopped. I detached myself from the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, and I started hanging out with friends that was going to the bar and drinking. So the first 3 years I'm going out, I'm just, I was actually a designated driver. And I enjoyed being around them and having fun. And eventually, the old saying is, if you continue to go to the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut.
I want to ask you a question. What was it that caused you to leave the fellowship, to stop doing what you were doing that got you in recovery and clean?
I think I started to detaching when I was involved with some group of people and I was disappointed. My feelings were hurt, and I call myself not wanting them, not needing them, and not understanding that this fellowship is so worldwide that if I was just disappointed with just a small group of people in Baltimore, I could have went. There are so many meetings in Narcotics Anonymous in Baltimore City. Instead of my choosing to go to another meeting and meeting another group of friends that could keep me clean and help me stay clean, I chose to involve myself with people that was no longer clean, the people that weren't drinking, and people that were drinking, and remove myself from people that were not drinking. So me being the individual that I was at the time and not doing enough work on myself to have my own identity and stand on my own 2 feet, I end up following the crowd and doing what the crowd do. As long as I was around people that were clean, I was clean. As long as when I started hanging around people that weren't clean, I was no longer clean.
It goes back to the old adage my dad used to say, birds of a feather flock together.
Absolutely.
If you lay down with dogs, you're going to get fleas on you.
Sure.
If you go out in the rain, you're going to get wet. Yes, indeed.
But I since then found myself back in the fellowship.
All right.
It took me a while to get back because, one, embarrassment. And when I was ashamed, I held my head down. But then I realized the same people that I detached myself from was the very same people that drew me back in.
I want to ask you a question before we get back into that. That little pretty bottle that you said that you saw.
Alizé.
Alizé.
Okay.
All right. Did you drink it out of the bottle? Did you from the bottle?
I poured it in a glass with ice.
Little cute little glass, right?
Yes.
Right? All right.
Ice.
My question is this. Before you put that drink to your lips,
Okay.
did you hear any of the sayings of Narcotics Anonymous, like, if you don't pick it up, it won't get in you, keep coming back, change people, places, and things? Did you see any of the people in Narcotics Anonymous in the glass? Did you see them in there? Did you hear any of the steps?
Rolling around in ice.
Did you? I mean, was there something that said to you, hey, hold on? you are getting ready to relapse.
Absolutely. I think the entire 3 years, that's what kept me from taking that drink when I first time I started hanging out with the people that were drinking, and I was hanging in the bar. I always heard the keep coming back, the alcohol is a drug. And during that time when you would read the literature and it's saying to abstain from all drugs, alcohol is a drug, you have to abstain from all drugs in order to recover. I would hear that. I would literally hear that in the back of my mind when I was in the bar dancing. And the longer I stayed, the lower the voice became. If I would have removed myself when I first heard the voice for the first 3 years, because remember, at 7 years when I started to detach, it wasn't 3 years. It wasn't until 3 years later that I actually used. So the 3 years that I remained clean, I continued to hear things like alcohol is a drug, it keep coming back, or don't detach, don't do this, don't do that. For 3 years, that kept me from taking that first drug. But the longer I stayed out there and around people that were drinking, the lower the voice became until I just didn't hear it anymore. So it took an additional 3 years for me to actually take the first drink.
I hope and pray that the persons in the real listening audience who are in recovery, who especially those who have some considerable amount of clean time, there's one thing more than anything else that can defeat us in our recovery, those of us who have clean time, and that is taking an attitude of that is complacency.
Yes.
They say that there's one thing that will defeat us in our recovery more than anything else, and that is taking an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles.
Yes.
In other words, you don't need God, and you don't need God in your life, and you don't like the God word, and you don't want anybody telling you what to do, and all that sort of thing. But those of us who have
substantial amount of
those
clean
of us
time.
who got some substantial amount of clean time.
Yes.
Our enemy is complacency.
Yes.
You know what complacency is.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because when I stopped going to meetings when I had 7 years clean, and the whole 3 years before I actually took the drug, there were so many times where I would feel that detachment process actually taking place. I would actually feel like I needed to go to a meeting, but because I was so stubborn, and because I felt like I didn't need to be there anymore, I felt like I was better then, and I felt like
my goodness. You thought that you were better than the people in the room?
Yes, actually I did.
How?
And
what happened? Did you start making money? You got a nice job?
I got
you got
a
a nice
job,
car?
I had a car.
You got a man? You got a place to live? Am I on the right track?
I actually felt like I no longer needed to be down that road.
I
felt like that now that I had been clean for 7 years, I had my own house, I was buying my house, I had a $30,000 salary, and I had a vehicle, and I began to
money, property, and prestige will divert us from our primary purpose. Is that what happened to you, Ethan?
Exactly. I can honestly utter the words out of my mouth now at 10 months clean, that at 7 years clean, I began to detach myself from the very thing that actually helped me heal.
I'm going to have you back.
Okay.
All right? Definitely going to have you back. Thank you for being with us today, Ethan. Tremendous message. I'm Dr. Bosh P. Jordan Jr., pastor and founder of Hope Alive Ministry. Look us up on the World Wide Web, hopealiveministry.org, hopealiveministry.org. In a couple of weeks, you can even see and hear Ether on hopealiveministry.org on our website. Call us 410-383-8055 if you want more information about recovery. If you want us to talk about something on air, call us. St. Petersburg, Florida, 443-250-9635, 443-250-9635. Come down morning worship service of Hope Alive Ministry Deliverance Fellowship. Bring your children. And remember, no matter what's going on with you today, there is hope for you. I'm Dr. Jordan. Good morning. Great interview.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh yes, yes, especially at the end.
Are you gonna listen to it?
No.
No.
I mean, no. Especially at the end. Especially at the end.
Really?
Oh, what are you talking about? Oh yeah. See, when you get gut honest about what happened.
Yes.
Oh,
That's the first time I
some
said that.
some people gonna come to you. And some people gonna come to you. They're gonna say, "Thank you for reminding me." Because that if it can happen to you in 10 years, what do you think can happen to me in 24 years? I said it Monday night in the meeting. I said I was home saying to myself, "Do I have to go there tonight? Why do I have to go?" And the voice said, "You got to go because you know what happens to people who stop going to meetings."
Yes. Yes.
You with me?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing to see an old dope fiend, an old addict. Huh?
Yeah.
You seen him, haven't you?
Yes.
Old,
Yes.
on heroin, drunk,
Yes.
whatever, smoking, old in line trying to get.
That's crazy.
Don't you think it couldn't happen to us?
I know. That almost had me out there.
Good thing you got back.
God saw for you.
Really? I mean, a lot of people couldn't make it back. They died out there. What was the name of that drink you said?
Alizé.
Alizé?
Alizé Hennessy.
Alizé.
Passion fruit.
Alizé and Hennessy.
Yeah. I used to mix it. People say, those are two strong drinks. That goes to show you. And I wanted my disease started high when I started back again. Those two strong drinks. Everybody used to say, "Girl, you trying to kill yourself mixing them too?"
Your addiction was wow. You probably weren't drinking them before, were you? See that? You thought you was cute. That's what they do. They mixing up. I bet they got some old dope fiends and alcoholics sitting up there designing those bottles and saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put this bubble in this one, put red one, put a little rose on this one. Yeah, matter of fact, we're gonna put some perfume in the glass."
God.
Yes. So when they look at it, they're gonna say, "Oh, I got to have that." And they say, "Oh yeah, we got one. This one named Ether. She's gonna come in here. We're gonna give her this. We're gonna give her this Alizé." Yes, indeed. Lord have mercy. All right. Exit. Yes, indeed. All right. Can we do another one? All right. We're gonna take up what I thought my wife was here calling me. Oh my goodness! I didn't stop this.